she was trying to get a rundown with a lowdown on me last night, and yeah, I've had quite an interesting life, and I think a lot of it is, no matter what we do through our lifetime, it's amazing how these different experiences pop up and you can use them, you know. Who would have thought from hairdressing I'm arranging leaves? I find that the clients don't complain as much. So it matches. I thought that looks cool. So all I did was I've drilled holes in here, used some dogwood, and then I've just got my branches that I've tied in with a few test tubes. And then I've got these gorgeous flowers here. Wow, I might just bring this one over here. Thank you, girls. And I've got a few new things at the market. I had to go to the market a couple of weeks ago. And UFG, United Flower Orchids, have got a lot of preserved plant material now. And this is the lovely preserved fern. It's delightful and I love the colour. So I thought I'd put a little bit of this in here. It's expensive, but it's worth it, you know, because I just thought the colour was just divine. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this in through here. I'm delicately placing, as you can tell. And put a little bit of this in. Have some of these. Oh, and something else. I love my magnolias. This is my magnolia Vulcan. Did you know you can dry these? And even when they've got the colour bursting out like that, they will dry and leave that colour just like black velvet. So you can use them in your designs. I used them the other day and I wasn't sure what I was going to do with them today, but you know. So a bit of this here. Just like that, just cut them and throw them in the corner and think, oh, I forgot I had those. And they dry, but when they're starting to crack like that, I will try and hang those ones because I want all the petals to stay in. Sometimes I might just put a bit of cold glue around here just to hold the outside sheath on there. So so I'm just going to pop a couple of these in here, a few test tubes. And then a few of the girls said to me, oh, Francine, how do you get when you want to do something and I want to go horizontal in a framework and I want to use my foam, I want to use my tubes, tie them, put 2 ties on. And I always just twist the tube but not the wire because I get a nice tension on it. So I'm going to do that. But then when I want to put the tube on an angle, and I don't want to worry about it leaking everywhere, this is the new bio foam. It's a new biodegradable foam. The green one doesn't break down, this one does. And there's all these articles saying, oh no, it doesn't. Well, it does. It's actually a little bit different to work with. I find it's a little more crumbly. Put this on the table. And put a little piece. And get your test tube and pop it in your tube. Find something to poke it down with. Probably something that's not going to squish it all down. Oh, here's my thing. But it's a really good way of actually keeping moisture for the flowers when you want to put it on an angle. Just going to do a little bit of like surgery here. And just pop it in the bottom like this. So that when you put your flowers on an angle, it's going to hold it. More of this in. I was going to use some more of these lilies, but they haven't opened, so I don't think I want to put too much in here. So it's just having a bit of a play with what we had to take a little bit of line over there because it's all broken form. Too much space. I just want to get a rest area for my eyes. So I want to just bring this in through here. Just take it over. And when these lilies, if you imagine that these are beautifully open, you know, lilies, aren't they a nightmare? I don't know what I'm going to do anymore. I might just put one in there. I'll set that back to take the red balance for colour balance. So that's all I'm going to do. That we have and the perfume, and I put the perfume in them. This is the outer peelings of that. So these ladies sit on the ground and they have this and they hand peel it with a very big blade, and so then you buy these rolls of just the outer bark. But I bought in the Sula bark because I think it's quite interesting. On underneath here I've got a piece of foam core board that I've folded in half. And those that want to know, it's on Facebook if you want to see how I've done it. But people that aren't, I have put some on YouTube as well, so you can see how I've made the mechanic or thread. which is a bit of a worry because people think that Fred's real. I refuse to go on a date. I'm getting a little concerned about that. We want to see Fred! Oh no. And I've got little kids that are going, my grandma, she likes Fred. Oh. That's nice, dear. But even kids are actually having a go at doing some of the workshops, which is really neat. So anyway, Fred will show you how to make the mechanic. So it's just using a piece of wood, a couple of little bit of aluminium rods here that I've just cut. I buy the lengths of aluminium from Mitre 10 or Bunnings, or Elrich aluminium's cheapest because you can buy longer lengths. And then I've got the foam core board that I've cut in half, folded over and taped it on, and then I've just hot glued all this on here with test tubes in between. Nice and simple. And this looks really nice. I'm doing huge big panels of this right along the table. It's just a very quick, and you can just pop your special flowers in it. Have a conversation, okay? These ones here I'm going to cut a little bit shorter, but I'm going to roll these back because I need a little bit more of a volumetric form back here because white is so dominant. I want to have it, and I just thought it's nice and fresh looking, you know? I just turn it around this way, put one in through there. So you don't need a lot. Don't like that. Down, lie down, lie down. Doesn't want to. Okay. So just folding these petals back, and if you do it really, really careful, this is where it's really good with not having a proper thumb because it rolls beautifully over the end. But I wouldn't advise it. Through here. Quite simple, and it's just such a neat little design. But once you've made this mechanic, you can use anything on here. You don't have to use the sulla. You can use the gum off the gum tree, the gum bark. You can use seed pods. And what I've loved most about, I'm getting a lot of private emails from people overseas, and they are doing the work. They're actually having a go, and they're saying, I didn't have that Francine, but you said I could try this. I didn't have that, but you said I could try this. And they're sending me private photos saying, I had fun making this, what do you think? You know, and I think that's just encouraging everybody. Whoops, I've sprung a leak. Well, not me, so let's put that one in there. Tuck that in through here like that. And that's all I'm going to do. It doesn't need anything else. And it's just showing you that any special flowers that you've got home, even freesias, daffodils, because you can just pick them every day if you need to. So it's about having a bit of line, asymmetrical balance, so the weight here is balanced by the line here. Taking your eye through, that one there needs to face that way, otherwise it's taking my eye away from the design. It's better. Okay, so there's that little one. So I'm delicately going to pop that in there. And I'll put another one up through here. Another one in through there. Don't like to take my eye away much. Take my eye back in. That in through there. Then I'm going to think, now what? Oh no! So I've got some lovely Asiatic lilies. I'm going to take one down low, like that. I've got some nice buds here. Bring these ones up high on this side. Come on, bud. Oh, you had a hard ride up in the car, didn't you? Good thing. Another one up and through here. So just taking it, this is just with just Asiatic lilies and a little bit of silver grey succulents and Astelia. Where do I want to put that one? I'll put that there. I want to give it a bit of depth. So I might put that to the back. So that's given me a good gradation in the design, so taking your eye back through. And then I rolled some Astelia that I had at home. Pre-rolled. which is really good because it's going to give me a little bit more control. Right, I'm just going to roll this in through here, and I'm going to use a couple of my mossing pins, my U-bends. Get a little bit of ribbon in through there, give it a beat. Simple little design. I mean, we all like to do really technical stuff, but we also like to go think, oh gosh, someone's coming and I need to do flowers. What can I do? You just go shove that delicately. Balance it and you're right. I've come up with some concepts, but I really wanted to bring them in because of the contrast of textures in them. When you look at them, and they've got lovely rhythm, but I wanted that rhythm to be emphasised by making the whole lot go into a horizontal position. But I have had this exactly like the solar wood one there, going completely along horizontal. This is vertical. Now, this is vertical, but the sticks are horizontal. But if you turn it that way, then that's horizontal and those are vertical. In other words, you can either do it like that or you can do it like that. But this looks amazing along a table centrepiece. So if you haven't got pepper cones, you can go and gather the little bits of driftwood. You can do this with all sorts of things, really. Seed pods, all kinds of things, different plant material. But I just wanted to really emphasise the texture and the pattern and line. This is a real strong emphasis on line. And how are we going to counteract that? Well, it's really simple. This is your interest, so don't take it away. I remember Thomas de Bruyn saying years ago when I did a workshop with him, the biggest mistake people make is they spend hours making a mechanic and then they go and hide the whole thing. I want to show this off, so I don't want to go and cover it. This is the preserved hanging amaranthus, so it's really soft. It comes in a range of colours. It's expensive. This again is at the flower market, but it's beautiful, and when you're demonstrating, or doing different things, you can keep reusing it over and over again. So all I'm going to do is just pop that on here. Where's my tubes? Hold on. I'm going to go this way. Just pop it on there like that. Tuck it in. And this is a real argument against the vertical, the horizontal line here, having that hanging vertical, but it's soft, so it's not competing with the pepper cones. I'm just going to tie that on up here, just so it doesn't fall off. But I just thought this concept, you can make huge towers of this, so I thought it would be really, really interesting. A real sculptural piece. Just anchor that on. And the other thing I like about the pepper cones is they're hollow. So they're actually a root of a plant. And so they are hollow inside. I was going to put this on the turntable, I probably should have, but it might have fallen off. But you can see they're hollow in here. So I can put my test tubes in here. So I've got a few test tubes, and so the flowers still get their moisture. That's where you would put a bit of floral foam in there, so you can have all your flowers coming that way. I thought this would be kind of fun to do this. Yeah. I've just got little tubes here because I'm going to just use orchids. But this here would look amazing just with one Phalaenopsis orchid completely coming over the whole thing. But they were a little bit costly, so I decided not to do that with this one. I'm just going to tie onto the hanging amaranthus just a few tubes. These are gorgeous. All I'm going to do is just, because if you look at this amaranthus, it's got a little bit of the red on there. And if you look at this orchid I've picked, it's got the cream throat. So it's, I don't like the way I've done those equal. That's too equal. I need to wait for top up. Sorry. If you're doing traditional work, you go equal placements. If you're doing contemporary, you don't. It's very confusing to the eye. Right. Yeah, got another one. Placement at the top. Oop. Let's try that in here. So I'm going to give it a friend a bit higher up. like I say, I could have pre-done this, but isn't it exciting watching me tie test tubes on? You know, I know you're all overawed about it. But wow, look, she's tying test tubes on. Okay, right, but you'll see why, when I turn this around, why I needed to give this another one. Oh, this has really got a hole in it. Okay. Aren't these orchids just beautiful? I'm going to put that one there, but I'm going to turn it slightly so it takes my eye back a little bit. That's better. Yeah, now I'm happy. Now, this here. It's a real, when you're looking at it visually, you've got that really strong emphasis on line, but when you look at the throat of that orchid, it's got the cream centre, so it's giving it unity and colour balance in that design. And just that soft line coming down is just softening the whole structure. So something very different. These are hogla. It's actually a jute. You know the jute? This is the stem off the jute, but they call them hogla. So I bought a whole lot of different colours in because I love them. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm just going to pop them in here delicately. I'm going to secure that on with the chocolate wire. I just like trying to be a little bit more sustainable and eco-friendly, so I'm quite happy to use it. But a lot of the work I've been doing through lockdown has been trying to think of designs that we aren't using foam with. Going more to the sphagnum moss. You see, in the florist shop when I was growing up, it was all sphagnum moss and netting and toothpicks and wire, and that's how I grew up seeing them on the beach making this huge, like for funeral work, the committals were huge. When my grandmother died, there was 500 wreaths when she died, and it was all, and then what they'd do is they'd make the wreaths out of the netting and the sphagnum moss, and then about a week later they'd go out to the cemetery, they'd collect them all up, sterilise them and reuse them. And when people say, oh, you know, this generation, they do, honestly, you've been recycling for years, and because it was more cost effective to reuse things like that. So, yeah. I'm just going to feed this one on. So this is just showing you again line and a bit of pattern by creating this little grid structure that comes over the container. And this is just getting the branches, and all I've done is just cross them, had a bit of an experiment. I wanted the line to kind of follow this container here. So I've made it sort of taper in. This is the only time I can use them in, so I'm going to put a couple of lilies in here as well, and they can open up. Again, feed that through. Maybe I need to take it down a little peg or two. Hold that up there, that's it. Hold that thought. Turn this around in a tick. Oh gosh, when these open, it's going to give a lovely layer. So I need to come round. There's one out there. Need to give it a bit of unity. Otherwise you're thinking, why is all the design here and nothing else out through there?
Is there a secret to getting those to open quicker?
The sunflowers, these, a lot of prayer. Isn't it always when you want them, they're like, I'm not going to open, I don't want to. You're making me do something I don't want to do. And through. One piece, whoever gets this is going to get a treasure. Just one little piece, just to link it. Let's take it a little bit closer. That's better. Just something a little bit different. I just really wanted something that was quite different to do today. And I just thought that colouring. What do you think of that? You can see them now open. then the structure, the whole idea is it goes onto the vase and it slides down like that. So this is just with now do you want to know how I made it? Because it's actually quite a cool technique. This is me experimenting as usual. Glad wrap around the vase, heaps of layers, and then hot glue gun. And then I worked out, okay, now if I want to slide that on and off the vase, I need to have a good opening, but I need it to clamp down here, so I worked that out. And then I hot glued it all onto the glad wrap. And then I layered it, and have it all move in one direction. So that then I took it off and I cut around the glad wrap. So it's got a nice cushion in here. So when it sits there, it's not all going to come apart, it just holds. So it's kind of funny to make. But you could do this with seed pods. You could do this with the bark off the gum trees. You know, just think about different plant material, little bits of driftwood, berries, all sorts of things, even pine cones. If you wanted to do one for Christmas, what about doing one just with all little miniature pine cones on there? It would look rather gorgeous. So there's that there. You can put some test tubes in these, or you can also just glue them on, tie them on. I just find where I want to put them, where there's a big enough gap in one of these to hold them. Where else will I go? There's a nice big one there. See how simple is that? You know, nice and simple, but you can do this with your bark, you know, with your gum bark, because the way it rolls. So just laminating and gluing, and then you can just glue these in so that they hold. If I really wanted to make them hold over, which I probably should in case it would fall out and make them look like a banana, I'll just put a U-glue dash on them and just pop that in there like that, and that's going to hold it now, it won't move. So, as you can tell, I use a lot of glue dashes. But these glue dashes are great for workshops, you know, you're not worrying about hot glue guns everywhere, people falling over. Glue guns. Put that one there. Got all this lovely upward movement, then you've got this line. So what you do is you need to fill that right up. And I like to use water. For me, there's something calming about water. And I just think it's a lovely luminosity, it gives a lovely transparency, and it's really emphasising the form and the pattern that's created in here. When you look through, it's really pretty. So then I'm just going to get a couple of these. Going to just have a look at them. Would you like to just do this? I've sprayed just the inside of the goblet with a bit of gold spray. Really simple, a lot of fun gluing. It's like glue stick, ouch, you know. But I thought that's kind of, and I've just put a little bit of glitter spray on it. And to me it looked quite, my son said, Mum, that looks quite gothic. And I said, what's gothic? He said, well, that's what that looks like. Oh, okay. All right, son. Yeah, right. So then what am I going to push in here? So I'm just going to put a bit of water in. And then I've got tiny little posies of rosebuds. I did have this made also with a big armature that went over the top, a big framework that's all got moss and all that glued to it. It comes over, so I've actually got a couple more I'll show you in a moment. But yeah, so just going to take just a couple of little tight rosebuds, and then a little bit of Pyrrhus. For those that have been watching me know my Pyrrhus is getting a little bit lean. But did you know that I think that if the neighbour's Pyrrhus is over my side of the fence, it's fair game? So when they look at you out the window and they see you leaning over the fence a little bit, don't worry. Just say you're just helping keep the weeds down. Right, pop this in through here. Just a couple of these gorgeous little rosebuds. I thought these were really sweet. So I've got the dried on the outside. And I've got the gorgeous, lovely little velvety ones in there. Right, put that one in. And then I've got a couple of, what else have I got? I want to save that bit. This is the real leather fern out of my garden. Alright, I want to cut this down, make a couple of bits of leather fern. I wanted some maiden hair fern, but I think after lockdown, everybody's taken up gardening. And a lot of plants you can't get because the wholesalers or the growers had to close down. They weren't even allowed to go in and propagate. So that's why there's a real shortage on different plants. Just make a tight little posy. Oh, just look at that. I needed to do something just pretty, just sweet and pretty. and then what I've got here is I've got a tray. It's just got a little bit of moss on it. But we're going to sell these individually, so that's why I haven't glued them onto the tray. This little one I've got where I've angled the rosebuds like this. So it's going to sit in there on that one hopefully. And I'll put some water in that one. Ooh, that I went before. A little light on the bottom. Put that in there like that, and then I've got one more, I think. So I just wanted to show you just so this is something just really, you know, sweet, but you could do these as little gifts or just have individual ones on your table, like that, and then you can just put a little bit of vine over the top. Just a little bit of vine, just over the top to link them. That's all that is. Just a really simple little design. And my girlfriend, she does bonsai. She's been doing bonsai for years. And so these are just panels of the loofahs that I've sliced. And I had this really interesting bit of firewood that would go in the fire. So I thought, oh, I could use that for something. And I've just got a branch here to give a bit of space and underneath. And just tied a few seahorse test tubes on here. And I just wanted that lovely space. And to me, it does look like bonsai. So, Wine Master. Right. Black tea works good too. Well, see, you never stop learning. Yeah. This one here might need a bit of persuasion. Put that over here. We're going to hold it. Might not hold it, but that's okay. So I want these to sit like in layers. I didn't want to fill in that space. I wanted that space in between that we can come back. That's good. Oh yes, I hot glued them together. I just cut them all and then I lay them on the bench in a pattern and then I just join them all together, link them together. That's good. I'm just going to pop one of these in here. Just take that through the tulip. Pull them back just a teeny bit. Got to find it through the loofah. Going this way. Weaving through my loofah. Quite interesting. But I don't think I want to put too much more in this because again, it's just showing that off. It's quite simple. So I decided I had all these beautiful orchids and I might even use a couple of those greens as well. I'm going to make a big orchid bouquet because to me, I just thought they were stunning. So again, I was looking at the gorgeous colours. So this is Basuna Panax Atropurpurea, which is the purple Basuna Panax. So I'm just going to make a nice little bunch of this here. So I'm going to do a front-facing bouquet, which you need to do when you're using orchids. You can do all round, but I like to do them like this. Then I had some Elegia down the bottom garden. The new spikes come through. Put a bit of Elegia in. For those before it bursts out. And I had a couple that had burst out. So I had to use the table to help hold them. And I need to give a little bit of, to emphasise it, I don't want to need a bit of solid line in the back. Okay, put that in through there. That one in there, and that through there. Oops, all right buddy, you stay there. Then I'm going to use some flax. I'm going to roll it, but I might do it the other way around. Bit of flax. So when you've got a big bouquet, it's good to actually lay it on the table so you don't damage the flowers when you're trying to do it. Right, we're going to roll a bit of that in through here. And then I decided I'm going to use charcoal. So I went to the shop and I bought a bag of charcoal, and then at the back here, I'll just show you the mechanics at the back, because it was too deep, I've put a false bottom in of the black foam core board, and I've put little blocks to anchor it for the weight, and then this here can either be hung that way, or you can just sit it on the sideboard like that, or you can stand it up, but I'm going to do it up, I think. And on here I've got, I use the power text. Now you would have seen me like with the design that I did for conference, with the orange design I did with all the lentils, that was done with power text. This has been done with power text. So what I did is I hot glued all the charcoal on where I wanted it to sit, but it won't hold. So then I made an emulsion up with this power text, which is a waterproof adhesive that they use for moulding for outdoors designing stuff. And I just painted that all over. And then it dried and it was black. But then I've realised, because it's hard to get, that if you use the good quality wood PVA glue, which I use, put an acrylic black paint in it, works just as well. But don't dilute it down, just keep it concentrated, it's really, really thick. Put your, and you can make that PVA wood glue any colour, so as long as you're using an acrylic water-based paint, you know, the acrylic paint in it, to give you the, yeah, I just thought that was quite neat. But anyway, so, and then what I've got here is I didn't want it all charcoal, because if the whole thing was that one pattern, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's okay. I wanted that strip. So that emphasis to this here, this real strong textural contrast that we've got here. I've got a smaller broken pattern, and this is a shiny, it's given it a bit of shine. So this is your dull, this is your shine, this is a different form, you've got a smaller form, and then we're surrounded with this lovely big black frame, which is enclosed it all, which, if you know, enclosing space enhances form. So that's what I'm going to be doing with this. So I'll bring out this one thing. Yes, I might need to turn it around just so I can see. Just one thing, or you could go the other way, but I think I want it on the charcoal. So I'm just going to now get my ties, and you need a heavy gauge wire. Get my good wire cutters. And because I've used the foam core board, is because I can punch through it. So it means I can just wire through it to get it to hold where I want it to. If you haven't got a pair of these, get yourself some. They're so good for your hands. Christmas. Santa Claus is good to me. Yeah. So just make a couple of big U-bends. Line your plant up where you want it to go. Let it go there. It's going to have to, now just have to bear with me because I've got to try and go through the charcoal. A-B technician comes in handy. Yep. So I've clamped that in there, and I'll show you how I've done the back. That'll probably hold. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do there. And see, just the one plant. And at the back, why I use the foam core board is because I do that. And it split them out, to push it through, split them out, so it's going to hold it into place. And when I want to take the plant out, I can squeeze those back in. Now what I was going to do was make a little kokedama ball up with moss, but make it square and outline the charcoal on that, but I ran out of time, so that it was sitting in a sauce, but you know, it gives you ideas of what you can do. So that's just that one design there.